Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about making the right decision. And in life, it seems like decisions are ongoing. They come up multiple times a day. And what kind of decisions you make are going to set the stage for your life. We all make good and bad decisions. I know personally I've made decisions that I'm proud of, and I've made decisions that I'm not so proud of. But how do we focus more on making the right decisions that will shape our lives for the rest of our life? And that's what decisions do. You want to make sure when you do make a decision, if it is the wrong decision, if you're skeptical about the decision you're making, make sure that it's something that isn't irreversible or that would cause harm to somebody else or yourself. I know in life it's easy to be swept up by what is the most exciting, what is the most gratifying at that moment. But then later, are you going to pay for that decision? How are you going to feel about that particular decision tomorrow, next week, next year? Making the right decision is pretty much focusing on what is drama-free. Because if you keep your life free of drama, then you are free to be the person that you were meant to be. You're free to walk through this life, spread your wings, be who you are, without the burden or the heaviness of making a bad decision that would affect you or somebody else. Because again, remember, the decisions we make today shape our lives for tomorrow. I'm going to tell you a little story, and I've actually told this in an earlier episode, but I know of a young lady that had basically two guys that she was dating, and one of them was going to a party and didn't invite her. The other one was solid, straight up kind of guy, and I'm so proud of her decision. She chose the one that was straight up honest in terms of the way he conducted himself, but what I'm getting at, she chose the road that was less filled with drama. And now she has a drama-free life with him. And they do things together. They're best friends. They now have a family. And if she had chosen the other route, and it started out where this person was already wanting to do something without her, their relationship would have been built on sand. But she chose the right one. So that's what I'm talking about, is making the right decision. It will affect you possibly for the rest of your life. I know we can't be frozen in fear to make a decision. For fear, it's going to be the wrong one. But you have to weigh it out. Will this decision bring me drama, or will it help my future? Will I be free to grow and be the person that I'm meant to be? Or will this stump me and create darkness or more drama in your life? That's how you know when you're making the right decision. You think about the drama that's going to come with it. And you have to weigh out, is it going to bring drama or is it going to enhance my future? And sometimes we really don't know what the right answer is, but I think if you sit quietly and not only pray and bring it to God and meditate on it, but your part is to weigh it out. And I think deep down inside, we all know what the right decision is in most things. Sometimes I think we get caught up in the confusion and you can't really think straight. But if you sit quietly and calm your mind down, then you will be able to focus on what is the right avenue to take. And I can't stress enough about making a decision that is not going to bring you drama. When you work on and try your best to make the right decisions, I think as that grows, you develop a stronger and stronger moral fiber, and you become a trustworthy person. There's always two splits in the road, and we can take the one that brings, like I said, instant gratification, or we can take the one that's more solid. And sometimes the one that's more solid might seem boring right at that moment. However, it's not boring because it'll bring you a life that offers more than you can ever imagine. And just being free to be your best self is something that a lot of people, I don't believe, experience. So in knowing that that's a possibility and being your best self and keeping the drama away, which gives you the freedom to develop into who you're supposed to be, that is priceless. And making the right decisions, you start to trust yourself more and more, which translates into more confidence. So it's really a win-win. When you start to make the right decisions based on what's best for you, what doesn't bring the darkness or the drama or the instant gratification, but what truly does seem like the best decision, regardless if you don't see the fruits of it at this moment, it can transform your entire life. Just having the freedom of not carrying a burden of drama, burden of weight, the weight you carry when you make the wrong decisions. If you start making the right decisions, again, you're free to be who you were meant to be. And then you're truly open to what life has for you. You're open to the opportunities. And when the opportunities come, you're not stuck in a place where you're putting out fires. You're in a place that's ready for the opportunity. Because you've done the work. Because you've made the decisions based on making the best life for yourself. As you grow and as you develop, you will find that peace is always the right choice. And when you live in peace, when you have that calmness, you're open to being the person that God intended you to be. When you're living in drama or making wrong decisions constantly, you're so consumed with your choices, trying to work them out, that you aren't free to be your best self. We talked about being prepared for opportunities, and by making right decisions is part of preparing you for opportunities. Because even though we may not see the opportunity today, it may be right around the corner tomorrow. So we want to be open and ready. And part of that preparedness is creating a drama-free life so you are free to do what you were called to do. In other words, I believe that we were all born with an innate calling to be or do something. Now, whether we choose to follow that path is up to us. Again, it comes down to decisions. But if we're so cluttered and so clogged with poor decisions that our life is so full of drama, then we're not free and we can't even see the path to live our best lives. You can't be traumatized in fear of making the wrong decision. I mean, we all make the good ones, we all make the bad ones. But for the sake of this podcast, I'm talking about, for the most part, trying your best to make the right decisions. And if you're not sure, quieting your mind, quieting yourself, going into a quiet place, meditating, praying, asking God what decision to make. And in your own intellect, weighing out the good and the bad, what would bring you more peace and happiness and fulfillment and guide you more on the path of being the person that you were meant to be. Or what would bring you instant gratification, but you may not feel so good about your decision tomorrow or next week or next year. In other words, our end game, our end goal is always to be the person that we're meant to be, to live our best life. And I believe to live your best life, it can't be cluttered with drama. A lot of drama is brought in by others, and you can't help that. But do your best to try to eliminate trauma in your own life, leaving you open and free to your calling, to being your best person, to living your best life. And I think to live your best life, you have to walk in peace the best you can. I know life brings situations, I get that, and you can't help it. I'm not talking about living a supernatural life, but what I'm talking about is making the right decisions the best you can, the best that are in your own control, which then opens you up to opportunities. Because the truth is, when we have an opportunity, whether it's presented by somebody for a career or for a romantic relationship, even a friendship, and they say that you draw the people to you with the vibrations that you put out. So what I'm saying, if there's somebody that is living their best life, their drama-free life, I think we will end up being more attracted to those that are drama-free and vice versa. We've talked a lot in the past about toxic people in our lives. And by toxic people, we've all had those around us that bring so much drama, so much confusion, so many problems, to the point where if we want to get ahead ourselves, if we want to live our best life, there's certain people that we have to keep at arm's length until those people start making the right decisions and rid themselves of drama. If you've done the work, you don't want to allow others who haven't done the work to bring you down. You want to continue climbing that ladder. It's a step-by-step process to living your best life, to being your best self. And I believe when you are your best self, the best opportunities come to you. I'm going to recap here on everything we just talked about. And that is, at the point that you decided to start living your best life, part of that, along with everything we've talked about, is making the right decisions. The best decision that you can make based on the information that you have, but also meditating and praying and trusting God and weighing it out yourself. Decisions come to us daily, multiple times a day. And we can't be traumatized in fear that we're going to make the wrong decision, because that's life. Some are good, some are bad. But do your best to make the right decisions. And in doing so, it helps keep you on that path to living your best life. Because if you're making the right decision, I believe you're happier. And you're keeping your life as free from drama as possible, which makes you lighter, which takes away the burdens that you carry in your mind, all that static, all that endless chatter in your head, because you learn to trust yourself. You learn to really trust God. You really start to develop a confidence when you know you can trust yourself, that every decision you make is the right decision. And that does bring tremendous confidence when you can say, I know I'll make the right decision, even though it may not seem like it at that moment. So in doing all this is one more step toward living your best life, being free, walking free, being open and ready for any opportunities. And when you do have those opportunities, you'll also have that confidence and knowing that you're going to say and do the right thing for that particular opportunity. And that is what makes life changes. With that being said, have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.